All right, we're back with another edition of the Three Stooges podcast. Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee, Chris Jackson, West Coast Preps, Jordan Georgeson of Gold Country Media. Got a big pulse on high school state championships. The 44th state championships for basketball is this weekend at Golden One Center, the great venue in downtown Sacramento, home of the Sacramento Kings. Weren't we just there? The Sacramento Kings section championships were there just a couple of weeks ago. How cool is it to have this amazing venue for these CIF wow moments? And we're going to size up some of these state championship games, some of the players to look for, national rankings, top coaches, all those kind of things. We'll touch first real quick on we have three teams left in the Sac Joaquin section in the state finals. It's that hard. It is that hard to get there. We have the Folsom boys in Division One. That'll be Friday night at 8 o'clock. Folsom taking on Damien of Laverne, powerhouse in Southern California, won a state championship just a few years ago in Division One. We'll touch on the Bulldogs here in a second. Then we have two small school girls. We've talked about them, certainly one of them all season long. Faith Christian of Yuba City, 52 students. The top of their graduating class is their student body president, Lauren Harris. She has the national records, all kinds of them for three-point shooting. She's just been on fire. They're 33-1. They take on Palisades. We'll kick to Jordan here in a minute on, okay, who's Palisades? What's their interest and their intrigue? This is the Division Four state championship on Saturday morning. Opening up all the fun is on Friday at Golden One, Laguna Hills, Southern California, taking on defending state champion Woodland Christian of Yolo County. Shiloh Sabello is the coach, and he's got the double thrill of having two of his daughters on his team. And so that's always a cool moment. We know that Jeff Harris, the coach for the Lions of Faith Christian, he gets to coach his daughters over the years, and that's just kind of an extra thrill for them. But Chris Jackson, right to you first. I think we knew that the NorCal Open Division game between Reardon of San Francisco, NorCal number one most all season, taking on Salesian, longtime powerhouse under Bill Mellis, Salesian of Richmond. It went to overtime. Who won? Were you surprised? And what can they do in the state final?
I mean, I think that game featured it all, right? There was Reardon goes up big, then what a lot of people have deemed controversial calls by the officials, right? Andrew Hillman, the USF bound senior at Archbishop Reardon, commits his fourth foul in the third quarter. Coach leaves him in there a few minutes later, called for his fifth foul. Looks like he's set there beneath the basket, but I mean, hard to tell from the angle. You see, maybe, I mean, there's a shoulder lean. I'm not really sure, but called for his fifth foul, about a minute left in the third. Fouls out. There's the end of his high school career. Salesian storms back, plays great defense down the stretch, too. Salesian wins that in overtime. Second time in 3 years, Salesian's in the NorCal championship game for the Open Division. They were this close 2 years ago, right? I think they tied that game late, then a couple of just costly turnovers late in that game. But Salesian, they've got the great coach, Bill Mellis. He's just got it's a system, man. Nobody averages these insane scoring marks every game, but that's because everybody fills their role and it works. Their top player, Elias Obenia, signed with Stanford. They've got multi-sport guys. Asante Johnson's really good. Carlton Prillia, a football, basketball type recruit. That's Salesian basketball. It's funny. That's what Bill Mellis has done for years, and this is one of the best teams he's had. But what they've got coming up is the number three team in America. We've seen Sierra Canyon on the stage before, right? We've seen them when they've had Kenyon Martin's kid, when Scottie Pippen's kid was there, when I think they played Sheldon in that open final in what, 2019 back at Golden One Center. I remember going to that too. But they are 29-1. They've got, as always, top talent. They have got the five-star Brandon McCoy, 6'5" shooting guard, actually originally from Oakland, but at Sierra Canyon now. I think he spent his freshman year at Bishop O'Dowd, but at Sierra Canyon, a five-star, 24 offers. Maximo Adams is a four-star, number 25 player in America, going to North Carolina. Then they've got another three-star in that senior class. Brandon Martinson, he is 6'6", small forward. He has also got, it looks like, 9 Division I offers as well, including nearby Cal, Stanford, there's USC, Creighton, some other great offers in there too. It's going to be the best test that Salesian has faced yet. They faced a lot of good tests because they've had to go through Reardon already. They beat Folsom earlier this year. They beat Modesto Christian when Modesto Christian was not a full strength. They beat St. John Bosco by 3, who was in that SoCal D1 final. They beat Damien, who won that SoCal D1 bracket as well. They beat Bishop Gorman. They lost to St. Joseph Santa Maria by four, another one of those top type seeds, I should say, in SoCal. But Salesian's built for this moment. That's what Bill Mellis coaches. They've got that leadership, that senior class, their brand of basketball. I mean, I'm sure they know this is one tall task. It's been a long time since we've won this open division game, right? I probably should take a look at that, Joe. Do you know the last time that we've won that open division game?
Oh, I don't, and it goes right back to. I'm gonna look it up real quick. It goes right back to what we've talked about, guys, where the Southern California teams win most of these championships, whether it's football, basketball, swimming, track and field, and why is that? Well, the quick, easy answer is the sheer crunch of population down in Southern California. There's just so many more people down there, and more talent, more competition, just strength in numbers there. But we've had some terrific teams. Sheldon's been in the open division a couple of times. Wood Creek of Placer County's been in there several years ago. So we've had some public schools get in, but the state championships usually are won across the board by the Southern
So the
California
last
Bruisers. And
NorCal team to do it, I remember this. It was at Haas Pavilion in Berkeley when O'Dowd won that crazy game against Mater Dei in overtime, right? Ivan Rabb
2000,
airballed that first
2015.
free throw, and then he made the second one. They won state. That's when O'Dowd had Ivan Rabb, who's played professionally. They had Paris Austin, who played college ball, Boise State, Cal. Ivan Rabb was a five-star, went to Cal, professional basketball, all that too. But it's been 11 years since
Yeah,
NorCal been at the top of
yeah,
that open division for boys.
And
yeah.
looking
And
too,
I
it
was I
looks
was at that event. That was at Cal. It was a
Yep.
great. There was a conflict, a scheduling conflict here. There must have been an extra concert date or something at Golden One or at Arco, and that's why it wasn't there. But so the Open Division was created in 2013, and the thinking then was, where do we put all the state monster powerhouses with the national recruits and the statewide and national wide schedules? Create an Open Division, and the thinking was to let the other teams have a chance. That way, it's not spread all across where all the divisions are won by private schools. But these are the teams that have won the state open since it started in 2013. Modern day of Orange County in 2013 and 14. Bishop O'Dowd, who we just referenced, won in 2015, 2016. The great Chino Hills team, one of the great high school teams in national history. Bishop Montgomery of Torrance won it in 17. Sarah Canyon won it in 18 and 19. Centennial Corona won it in 22. Harvard Westlake won it 23 and 24. And I can't remember who won it last
It
year. It
was
might have been Sierra
Roosevelt. It
Canyon.
was it was Roosevelt last year when they had Braden Burries
yeah.
had 30 something in that first half, and now we're seeing what Braden Burries is doing in Arizona too. I mean, that was one of the all-time state championship efforts from that kid.
Yeah, how about that? And so, Jordan, I'm going to kick over to you. So now we know Mitty of San Jose. Been here for a long time. Sue Phillips, alum of the school, one of the great coaches in national high school history. They have cleaned up in this NorCal's for decades, but it's been a tough road in a open division. And we're looking at since 2013, we have Bishop O'Dowd who won the first one in 2013 of Oakland, and then St. Mary's of Stockton won it in 2015. But otherwise, it's been Southern California. Again, as great as Sue Phillips is as a coach and her Mitty of San Jose team is, can they win this game? And they're taking on Ontario Christian. And aren't these teams are nationally ranked real high? They played each other before. How do you size this one up, Jordan?
Yeah, this one's going to be, I mean, this might be the game of the weekend. This feels like, if Mitty's going to get it done, this is the year you have your top recruit in the nation. I think she's like number 4 or 5 in the nation, committed to Iowa. McKenna Wolichko came back in January from her ACL injury. Zanai Patterson, Malia Hunter. I mean, they have the pieces there for Mitty. 1 versus 2 in the nation for this game. It just kind of feels like, striking while the iron's hot. This has kind of been the year of we talked about the section championships. Felt like, hey, is this year Placer's going to get it done, get over the hill? Is this year Natomas is going to get it done, get over the hill? This kind of feels like that for Mitty. They've run through the NorCal Open division. I mean, they beat San Ramon Valley convincingly. They beat Clovis West convincingly last night. I think, it's tough to say because Ontario Christian is a powerhouse, and like you said, Joe, Southern California is just a whole different beast. But I think this is as good a year as any. I'm gonna maybe call the upset here and say Mitty gets it done. And I just think part of that too is they've seen this Ontario Christian team before. They played them in overtime, and even though Ontario Christian won that one, it took a 50-point effort to get that game for the Lady Knights. And then at the same time, too, Mitty is a team that's been in the state championship. I want to say, I mean, it's got to be what 3 or 4 years in a row now in this open division game, whereas this is Ontario Christian's first state championship game. So it kind of feels like, hey, if there's a year that it's going to get done, then this is kind of the year for Mitty. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. So they've gone to the open division. Let's see. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now, according to this, 5, 6 years in a row now, and that's technically 7 years because it goes back to 2019 if you're counting. They didn't have state during that COVID season, or they didn't play the state championship games. So it kind of feels like, the experience is going to have to pay off eventually. And I think this is the year that Mitty gets it done. Like I said, though, I think this is a matchup of the weekend. If there's anyone that's debating, hey, I can only go to one game, this is the one you got to go to. It's essentially not only the state championship, but the national championship as well for this, because you got number 1 versus 2 in the country. You got 2 teams I don't think have been ranked lower than maybe 10 in the nation all season long, maybe even top 5. I mean, they've been right there at the top, and they've been that way for the last couple of years. This is just a matchup we've never gotten because Ontario Christian's never gotten past Etiwanda on their side. They do it this year, and then Sierra Canyon falls. Ontario Christian gets to host the NorCal or the SoCal Open game and gets through. So kind of the matchup we've been waiting for. But yeah, I'll say Mitty wins this one. It's going to come down to 3 points, and we'll say that one of the stars of their big 3 is going to be the one that delivers for them.
Yeah, that's going to be something else. And let's touch on the Folsom boys. Great win last night. Chris Jackson and I were both there. We call it Wall Ball. Mike Wall's been the coach there for 25 years. He's a terrific coach. He's not easy to play for. He could be gruff. He could be grumpy. He could bark, but he also knows how to soak in a good moment. He will celebrate it with his guys. He calls it a beautiful brand of basketball. He's got 4 senior starters and a star sophomore in Parks Weaver, and these guys play basketball the right way. And it was really cool last night, Chris Jackson, where I'm watching this game, and there was a lot of top flight high school basketball referees who came by just to watch.
Yep.
And they saw a 3-man crew from the Bay Area do an excellent job as Folsom beat the Kings Academy, kind of new on the whole basketball scene the last few years. Won NorCal Division III last year, superbly coached, great athletes, great game. 78-68 Folsom wins. It was much closer than that, but it was free throws down the stretch by all the seniors like Jovan DeLay and Jack Scholl with 31 points. Great crowd, tremendous effort. Why is Folsom so good? Well, everybody can handle the ball, and they could all pass the ball, and they all know how to move and set screens and just movement, and they run the break. They could hit threes. You have unsung guys like Alec Day and Scott Nardinelli is a bulldog, literally as a defender. So it's just a great accomplishment for Mike Wall. Again, Wall Ball lives on. He's one of the great coaches in regional history for any sport. I just love the way they play the game. They are a proof that you can get second life in the playoffs. They were a Sac Joaquin Section Division I semifinal loser to Sheldon. Exhaustive, tight game there. Sheldon loses to Modesto Christian in the Section Division I championship, and then they both lose in the NorCal Open. Modesto Christian and Sheldon. So here's Folsom still left. But so Chris Jackson, they're taking on Damien and Laverne, won a state championship just a couple of years ago. What do you see in this game? And wouldn't that be something if Folsom could finish on top? It's the only boys team left. The only boys team left locally last year was Jesuit, also the Sierra Foothill League, battle tested. Tim Kelly had a coaching clinic. to win that state championship? Can we see it again with Mike Wall Ball, and the Folsom Bulldogs? Because we know Damian beating Bosco in the
Yeah.
SoCal Division I final last year is a statement win. So this looks like a good one. How do you size it up there, Chris Jackson?
Here's the cool thing for Folsom. They have not played Damien this year, but what has Folsom done? They've won their bracket at the Damien Classic, right? That super prestigious tournament right after Christmas. Folsom's seen and played a lot of great teams, and what did they just do last night? First, I just want to touch on that free throw shooting. Made their first 10, finished 22 of 24 from the line. Joven Dule, 10 of 10 at the line in the fourth quarter alone, 13 of 13 for the game. Talking with Mike Wall after the game. That's what's going to win or lose you games. That won them that game against Bellarmine in the first round when Bellarmine made that late charge, made some big ones these last few rounds, and they go 22 of 24. When there were times it's a 7-point game, and then what do we see? Claxton Ledeen just hits a ridiculous three-pointer with a guy in his face, gets it to 4. Delay comes back down, hits a couple free throws. In league play, Wall said they had one starter who shot 100% from the line, another 95%, another 85%, just during league play at the free throw line. That's going to win you a lot of ball games, and that's going to come in handy when you're in a state final like this, where Damien's winners of 31 games. They held St. John Bosco last night to 14 points in that first half alone. Zaire Rashana Jr., he is putting up big game after big game. He's definitely say he's one of the best players in the state at this point in time, right? What he's done these playoffs, they've won. They're getting hot at the right time too. They beat Inglewood earlier in the NorCal, or I should say SoCal playoffs, right? I'm so programmed to say NorCal with all the games we covered. SoCal, they beat Inglewood, who's got Jason Crow Jr., the all-time leading scorer in the state, beat them by 19. Crespi beat them by 4. Korean Lutheran held them to 44. St. John Bosco 41, 14 of those only in the first half, right? They're well coached. They've been in this spot before. We've seen Damien at that state podium just a few years ago, right? When their coach announced that he was going to retire, then he didn't retire, right? Decided to come back, and amazing how that happens. Got to think Folsom's got a chance. Lincoln of Stockton had a great chance last year. I know their coach was not happy about officiating. That was one of those times where I think in some cases he had a point, right? But if you get the officiating, we've seen all these NorCal playoffs at the games that we've been to. I think that's a good thing, right? They're going to let you play. You're going to be able to play your brand of basketball, be a little physical too, and Folsom just plays that right way, right? They move the ball. Everybody's cutting off the ball. Great backdoor cuts. Don't zone Folsom. A lot of teams do zone Folsom. I'm not sure why, because they will backdoor cut you all day. They'll go inside, kick it out for a 3. Everybody on that team can score. Jack Scholl, 31 points. The last 3 games, a 20-point game, a 19-point game, then 31. Joe, I think it was his 28th and 29th points last night, where he gets contact, goes down, just throws it up, right? One hand like this, throws it up top of the backboard straight in. And it's like, oh my goodness, what is this kid doing? Alec Day takes charges, hits big shots. Joven Delay, anytime he hit a big shot, he hits it. Parks Weaver, I mean, his step back 3 is among the best you're going to see at this level. What he's done, what Scott Nardinelli's done, he can score, but he's such a great defender. What he and this team did yesterday was Boss Moon, Kings Academy's 4-star, top 50 player in America in his class, scoreless in that first half. I could count on one hand how many shots he even attempted in that first half, right? I had 11 in the second half, got to his spots, drew some fouls. They were going to be able to kind of contain a kid that long, but you did as good as anyone's guarded him and let other kids beat you. Like Scotty Beamish is a great freshman. Claxton Ledeen's a great player. Kings Academy's going to be back. But if you're Folsom, you got to be feeling good. It's been quite a few years since we've actually seen a NorCal team win this Division I game. I remember the year before Chino Hills won the Open Division in state. They had lost to San Ramon Valley in D1 in that championship game, right? And it's been, you look at it, that was the last time NorCal has won. NorCal had a stretch of 3 straight wins, 2013 to 15 with Pleasant Grove. Monta Vista, Trevor John hit NBA threes in that gym, right, at Arco Arena. And then San Ramon Valley had a big guy, good guards. They beat that Chino Hills team. But ever since then, it's been Crespi, it's been Roosevelt. Chino Hills did it 2 more times in a row. Damien, Notre Dame, St. John Bosco. And then there was the game last year, Lincoln of Stockton lost too. So it's been like that Open Division game. It's been over a decade since we've seen a NorCal team win this D1 bracket for boys. But Folsom, you got to think, has a solid chance of kind of ending that streak and putting NorCal back on top there.
Oh, and there was a neat generational moment before the game, during the game, after the game last night at Folsom. So in 2014 was the last time Folsom went to a state championship. Mike Wall was the coach, still is. And the star player for Folsom then was Jordan Ford. He was a two-time Sac B Player of the Year. He was our Sacramento Bee Player of the Decade for the 2010s. 4-year starter at St. Mary's College at guard, leads him to the NCAA tournament, played a little bit in the NBA, still playing overseas. His father, Jordan Ford's father, Kazar Ford, was there last night, and he hadn't been to a Folsom game in years, but he came because he appreciates Coach Mike Wall. And after the game, Mr. Ford tracks me down as I'm leaving the building. He goes, "Wow, what a great team." He goes, this team is better than the teams that my son played on, with just their ball movement, doing everything right. So cool when he didn't have to go to the game. He went because of what Folsom basketball did for him and his family and his son. And so they come back, and it just shows, well, has Folsom really struggled over the years? No, they've had great teams. They were the NorCal #1 seed just a couple of years ago. It's hard to win these games. Look at all these playoff scores. And then you add in the competitive equity, which makes it harder. And, Jesuit was the 16th seed in Division I NorCal this year, and goes down to Memorial of Fresno and wins that game. So that's just, that's how tough and tight it is. And so kudos to Folsom. And there's a lot of those students who were there at the game last night, the rooting section. They're all spirited. And I was talking to Lisa Finley. She's the athletic director at Folsom. I said, "Hey, was that the school that bought all those tickets?" It's really a cool moment. No, it was the community, local businesses, local sponsors bought them all up. There you go. Got one more game. Get them all out there on Friday. So, Jordan, let's throw back to you. Is there a team, a player, a coach, a trend, or a theme that has your curiosity in boys or girls?
Yeah, I think this D4 girls game is one that really catches my eye for a couple reasons. I think two of the best storylines are on the line here. One, for Faith Christian, we've talked about him a million times this year. Lauren Harris, the national all-time three-point leader. The little school that could, they go from winning D6 NorCal's last year, moving up, get the top seed in D4, and they're playing for a state title. I think one of the coolest stories with them is they're sitting at 33-1 right now, and they have a chance to do something that's only been done 3 times in the last decade, and that is reach 34 wins in a season. The only schools to do that in the last 10 years are Colfax in 23 and 24, and Clovis West in 2017. I just did the math on Cal High's site. It says it's only been done 16 times since 2000 that a team has gotten 34 or more wins in a season. So that's, going to get them on the state record book on that side if they get that win. So a little extra motivation, not that you need too much to win a state championship. But looking at the school they're playing too, I don't think you find a school with a much better story. Palisades High School was 40% destroyed during the January fires in 2025. That Palisades fire, it destroyed that community. A lot of these kids probably lost their homes, were misplaced. And I know that's a, affluent community, but at the end of the day, these people lost everything, and a lot of them couldn't afford to replace it. And seeing the school be able to come back the way they have, I was reading up on it a little bit, and it's really interesting. They moved their classes to the former Sears building in downtown Santa Monica, that had been unoccupied since 2017, and it's like almost like a giant looking building if you look at it. So I don't know if they were the only tenants in there, but that had to be interesting. Do you have class on like the 35th floor or something like that? I don't know how that all works out. Where's the lunchroom? But what's interesting too is they were on an interim campus this fall, and they just returned to their main campus in Pacific Palisades January 27th of this year. So these kids have been on their actual school campus less than a month. The gym was one of the few buildings that survived the fire. So rising from the ashes, Palisades High School, I think that's a really cool story for them to be able to be resilient and make it there. And we've seen times where these devastating fires unite a community. Look at Paradise Football the last couple of years, and if you haven't read that book, that's a tremendous book. But seeing how the fires united that community, seeing what it's done for, I want to say Cardinal Newman had a portion of their campus burned down in one of the bad fires a few years ago. It's great to see a community rebuild like this and rally like this. And this Palisades team's no joke. I mean, looking at their schedule, they lost their first 4 games of the year, but Notre Dame at Sherman Oaks, Liberty at Bakersfield, North down in LA, and then Village Christian. They played a solid schedule. Quartz Hill, a good opponent. We've seen make it pretty far a few times. Palos Verdes, a good program. Hamilton, a good program. Birmingham of Los Angeles, a good program. And they've, won comfortably these last couple rounds in this NorCal final. I think this could be one of the better games of the weekend as well. And just a cool storyline either way, because you have either the small school playing up 2 divisions, looking to put their name in state history book, or you have the school that rebuilt from nothing a year and a half ago, not even 14 months ago, less than a year and a half. These kids lost everything. Some of them probably thought they were losing their lives. They lost their pets. They lost their homes. They lost, more than they could imagine. And to bounce back and be resilient like that, I mean, I'd be interested to find out too, how many of those kids transferred out of that school and left the area. So, I mean, are these the kids that were just left from what happened after the fire? Because I know when Paradise happened, it was my first year with the Auburn Journal. I interviewed a kid playing baseball at Colfax. His family moved to Colfax because they were relocated after the Paradise fire. So, it's awesome to see this community rebuild. And it's tough because we want to see our Sacramento schools succeed. Jeff Harris has done a great job at Faith Christian. I would say he's a, dare I say, friend of the program. It's been great watching them, but also, how can you not root for this Palisades group with what they've overcome? I think whoever wins that game is going to be very deserving. I think that's going to be an interesting game this weekend too.
So it's well said. There's something called real life, and whether it's the Paradise football team, when your whole town burns down and they lose everything, their identity, their pets, like you said, their electronics, their belongings, their everything is gone, and then I always call it real life because there's perspective. You don't think these girls from, you know, Palisades don't, hurt. They care. And so you look at a 16-13 record, one loss record, that's nothing compared to what they've really lost. So great stuff there. And Chris Jackson, right back to you, sir. What is there a player, a team, a trend, a game that has that you're curious about as the CIF State Basketball Championships is the 44th annual here this weekend at Golden One Center?
San Marin Silmar, that boys D5 final at noon on Friday. San Marin's a great story too. What they've done these last 5 games to then reach the state final. They won on the road, beat the top seed in the D5 bracket at Mission San Jose by 10. And San Marin's coach, Chris Lafdiotis, he is a known winner. He was at Piedmont, and then he was at Miramonte when he coached them to get into the open division of NCS, when the open division of NCS had freaking Camp Luna with Aiden Mahaney, when they had, I think, Northgate, when they had Granada, Dublin, Doherty Valley, those types of teams in the open division. He had Miramonte at that point. Now at San Marin, they've got 21 wins. They play in the Marin County Athletic League, which is a really tough basketball league too, with Marin Catholic, with Branson, with Redwood, with those, and Archie Williams, and what those programs are. He's got them playing their best basketball at the right time. Miller Morgan, the top scorer there. You've got Weisler's really get another double-digit guy. And Grant Means, a football guy, a basketball guy. He has been a varsity player since his freshman year and really been building to this too. And they're a team you're going to want to watch. I'm sure San Marin's going to bring a lot of fans. They always do. That's a very prideful community there in Novato out there in Marin County. And Chris Lavadiotis, if you just want someone to watch, get to know, it's him. He's one of the good guys out there, one of the nicest guys you'll meet. He loves coaching. He and his wife do great things. And that's one of those games I'm super excited for. I think we're getting a great start when we get Woodland Christian that morning, then we get San Marin boys that next game. You're going to watch great basketball. Well, coach basketball, a coach that just it seems like everybody likes and respects, and from both those teams, right? From Woodland Christian with Shiloh Sobrello, and how swaggy does he look for this game? Does he have the bow tie again? What shoes does he have on? Just how good does that suit look, right? And then Chris Lavdiotis is going to have his polo and everything else and be coaching up his guys and loving up on his guys as they make this hopeful run at state. And bring a state title back to Marin County, which has had a few the last few years where we saw Marin Catholic's girls get it. I remember a few years ago, Branson's girls got it. I think San Domenico's had it where they had a stretch of a few straight years where San Domenico played in that state final and won one or two in girls as well. So here comes San Marin boys. They've had some great football teams. They've been in the open division football the last couple of years with that new competitive equity stuff, but they've won some state titles this decade. Now can boys basketball do the same there at San Marin?
No, this is good stuff. And we have the central section, which is the Fresno Bakersfield area. Division two girls on Saturday. St. Joseph, St. Maria is there in, between San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara. They're taking on Sierra Pacific. So there's one of the Sierra Pacific of Hanford. The boys Division two game, Bakersfield Christian versus Memorial of Fresno. They're league rivals, sectional rivals, now playing for a state championship. So some of that lays out nice and cool and fun there. And all the games for Northern California will be on the NFHS network. In Southern California, they'll be on Spectrum TV. It's, we've said this all season, guys. Some of the best basketball at any level for entertainment value, intensity, competition, coaching, fundamentals, just great shooting is the high school stuff. Yeah, we see it with Folsom. You get tired of the NBA and the dribble drive and the isolation and the nonsense of spreading the floor and bombing up a bunch of threes. Well, the high school kids are still fundamentally sound, and it's a fun product. When you think fundamentally sound, it doesn't mean it's boring. It just means it's structured, and you can have fun and play above the rim and fast break and bomb threes within a structured format. So kudos to these schools. We see some of these coaches, right, Jordan and Chris, they look exhausted. Geez, it looks like you're going through the ringer. They have. And people will say, yeah, but it's only high school. How serious is it? Well, it's their world. This is the biggest game and the biggest moments of the lives of these kids. And the coaches always hurt after championships because they have another season, but the kids don't. The seniors certainly don't. And so kudos to all these teams and programs. And I think some of the three-man crews that we have seen in the NorCals will work these state games. So they'll be the same crew. We saw some of that in the section playoffs. We touched on earlier. Some of the officiating has been just top notch. Our friend, the judge, Scott Tedman, fighting Tedmans at Sacramento Adventist Academy. They played in the NorCal Division 6 game and lost in Ferndale. But he went as a basketball fan. He saw the NorCal win earlier in the week or on Saturday with Faith Christian, with Lauren Harris, and they beat Liberty Ranch of Galt 79-75. He said it was a three-person crew, three women, and he said it was as great of an officiated game as he'd ever seen. And he thought it was just terrific. You think of that score, 79-75, everybody's got to be on board. We saw the game last night, Chris Jackson, superb officiating, good flow. We got to love it. And I think we were done. The game was done like at 8:15. And, so that's pretty cool. But check the CIF site. Keep following us. Jordan, I'm going to kick it to you one more time, and then one more time to you, Chris Jackson, as we close out. Any players, teams, trends that are worth a peek there, Jordan? Anybody else catch your attention?
I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but just the San Joaquin Memorial Bakersfield Christian matchup that really catches my eye. I think that's going to be a fun one. Two programs familiar with each other, and kind of the awkwardness of the central section. What are you going to do? Because you're going up against schools that you sometimes are seeing in league or in section playoffs. And I mean, if you're not familiar with San Joaquin Memorial too, take a look at their alumni list that they have at that school and look at the talent that they produce there. I mean, I want to say I had it up earlier, but it was the Pondexter family, Jalen Green of the Blazers. I mean, multiple NBA guys coming out of there. So that's a program that produces talent. And Joe, like you said, the people that are like, hey, why would we watch a high school game? Well, one, like you say, it's better team basketball. It's a lot more entertaining to watch. You see a lot more defense. You don't see, jacking up 3-pointers. But also, if your argument's like, hey, it's not an NBA talent. Well, there's multiple future Division I kids that are going to be playing on here. those kids are going to be playing on Golden One Center that are going to be your March Madness heroes in a year or two that hit, the buzzer beater for whoever to knock off a top seed or maybe lead a team to a Final Four. And I can almost guarantee there's a future NBA player in at least one of these games, future WNBA players. I mean, these kids are going to be professionals. Braden Berry's the hero of the Roosevelt Open Division Championship last year. I mean, he could be a lottery pick this season. Some of these kids, too, the talent they have are guys where you could be getting drafted out of high school if you had the situations, in previous years of the NBA where you could get picked out of that. So, if it's talent that's keeping people from going there, save it, buy a ticket and go, because I promise you that you will not be disappointed. There are future stars on this court, and this is always one of the best weekends of the year. And how lucky are we that we get it right in our backyard in Sacramento?
Oh, I love it. And just a little historical reference. So why did the state championships, 1981 is when it started. And California didn't start high school sports in 1981. It just takes that long. And we think of the state football tournament that started in 2006, last state in America to finally get it going. They had some way back in the 1915s or so, but that's so long ago. Well, Bill Cartwright, who was 50 years ago, was the nation's #1 recruit, the 7-footer at Oak Grove High School, and NBA teams were looking at him. Right out of high school, he goes to USF, becomes a second pick in the 1979 draft, wins 3 NBA championships, the Chicago Bulls, their first 3 with Michael Jordan as the leading act. What am I getting to is he was so great, Bill Cartwright, in 1974-75, that they had the Tournament of Champions, which was kind of a quasi NorCal championship at the Oakland Coliseum. And there was talk, wow, there is real talent in Sacramento and Northern California, because there was arrogance that the only basketball was in Los Angeles and in the Bay Area. And that's what got the dialogue started. We have to create a state basketball tournament. And for years and years and years, there were 3 divisions. And Folsom won its first CIF state basketball championship in 1985 in Division 3, which was the smallest division then. Now we have 6 divisions. 5 will play for state championships, 5 divisions. And Stan Harms was the coach, classy guy, and they won it. And this is how much the tournament has changed. So that Folsom team had 1 loss, and they lost in a section final to Bret Hart. And it was unheard of and unprecedented that Folsom was given an at-large berth in the NorCals. Now all section semifinals make it to fill out those brackets. And then Folsom sees the opportunity, wins the state championship. Mike Doyle was the Sacramento Bee Player of the Year in 1985. Stan Harms died in 2020, class guy. He loved watching Mike Wall's team. So there's kind of a generation connector there. But Chris Jackson, as we sign off here, any thoughts just on, hey, this is a good product. This is good basketball. Yeah, there's a lot of private schools. Yeah, there's a lot of public schools. The competitive equity thing can be debated. I don't hear any such complaints here on these state finals. It's subject to change, but we have players, we have teams, we have human interest stories such as the Pacific Palisades area and the fires and all that. But anything you want to add as we close out?
It's $16 to go for a day at this thing. The Kings play there. I know some of you still like to watch the Kings, go to Kings games, and you pay a lot more money for that. Why? Just do this. You get 6 games a day, and it's a whole lot better. I know the Kings have won 2 in a row. I'm sorry for anybody I've offended. They've got 16 wins for the year. Whoop-de-doo. Great, 16-50. I'm sorry, Kings fans. Jordan, I'm talking to you, but you're gonna get great basketball here. You're gonna see some great names, great coaches, great programs. Programs doing it for the first time, but you're gonna see an all-time small school in Faith Christian with Lauren Harris that gonna go down as one of the best high school players there is out here, and at any level, not just small schools. They're a school of 52 at the high school level. They've got 2 girls signed to play college basketball. How incredible is that? Woodland Christian going for a 2nd straight state championship. They were the 6th seed. They've been road warriors. They went to John Adams, and then they went to Modoc. They went way out there, right? And what do? They won. Clovis High School is a great story too. Sadie Sin is just prolific going to Long Beach State. She's going to be a teammate with Lauren Harris too. She had a bloody nose in one of their big games earlier and still just hit some dagger shots in that game too. And they are the program that snapped Clovis West's like 20-year stranglehold top of their league. Clovis West did get that revenge on them in that section final, but still, that shows you who Clovis is. They're playing Centennial Corona. There is some Jordan, you mentioned one of them, these kind of cross intersection, I should say, matchups, right? Like Central section is kind of in that weird spot where some schools are Southern, some schools are Northern, like Bakersfield Christensen, Joaquin Memorial, and D2 boys. D2 girls of St. Joseph out of Santa Maria against Sierra Pacific. Interesting to see that stuff happen. So some of these teams will have some more familiarity with each other than some of these other matchups, and those two open division games as well. You're gonna want to be there. You're gonna want to watch those. You're gonna want to watch those D1 games. You're gonna want to watch every game. I remember going as a kid, going to all these games just because we wanted to, and it was, I don't know, maybe it was 10, $15, maybe it was $16 then, and we probably should have paid more to get in, honestly, for how good it was. So go watch that. There's great food in the area. The Delco area around Golden One's got some great local restaurants, bars, anything you could do. It's going to be great weather too. So before games, after games, in between some games, you can sit outside and enjoy some sodas, some brews, and some food, and have a great time. I mean, it doesn't really get better than this, and I can't believe that this is the last 2 days of the basketball season. It feels like this year, especially, has flown by more than any other I can remember.
Well, and a lot of the times, a lot of the reason for that, I think, Chris and Jordan, is because the games are so good. And last night was a blur. I think if these were slugfest, defensive-minded, poorly played, poorly officiated, poorly coached games, we would be suffering. It would feel like a community service. But next week we will talk about players of the year. We will break them down by best senior, best sophomore, best freshman, best junior, best coaches, maybe best best all over the place. Well, we will honor the coach of the best coaches, the best players, why this season really mattered. Then we'll start picking up on spring the week after that. But Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee, Jordan Georgeson of Gold Country Media, Chris Jackson of West Coast Preps. Give us a follow. Keep following us here. This is why we do it, to kind of shed some insight and a little fun and flavor. We applaud the high schools. Keep up the good work, everybody. It's a great venue. And you're so right, Chris Jackson, $16. Go in there and hang out all day long, or watch it on NFHS, but watch it because it matters. It means everything to
Or
these
you could pay
kids.
$16 and heckle all of us. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. If you throw popcorn at me, I won't blame you.
And debris.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan goes to games with rotten produce in his side bag so he could hurl it back at the people hurling things at him. So,
somebody from Folsom should throw popcorn at me because I opened my Celsius last night. Luckily, it wasn't right on the court, but in that little corner, and the thing kind of exploded a little bit too. So, someone at
that's
Folsom,
exactly
you have all of my permission to throw popcorn at me and throw soda at me if you're from Folsom if you want. That
You
is
guys have my
egregious on
permission
part.
too.
Yeah, you got Jordan's permission
well,
too.
and it has my permission, and don't just throw soda, throw the whole cup.
Yeah, that's fine.
The
Yeah,
whole
unopened,
thing.
whatever you gotta do.
That's why I wear a black shirt, so you don't even notice.
Jordan nailed it. Whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
And there we go. So, hey, you guys are the best. We'll see you guys soon, and rock on. I can't believe basketball is coming to a close, but how fortunate for us that we get to see it at Golden One, one of the premier NBA venues or arenas in the country, and so good that the March Madness Women College Basketball Elite Sweet 16 and Elite 8 will be here at the end of this month. So that's what this arena does. Great concerts, not such great NBA play, but great basketball, high schools to colleges. All right, we're the Three Stooges. We're out. We'll see everybody real soon.